Louise, what would you like for breakfast?
Waffle peas.
Hi there.
Hi, Loops.
Loopsy, do you want cheese on these waffles? Yeah, right then. We've been told that Louise has receptive and expressive dysphasia, which means that she can't understand language. She can't understand the spoken word, and therefore she finds it very, very difficult
There's lots of cars.
to express language as well.
Cars there. There's a police car as well. Police.
Just to look at Louise, she's just a normal-looking little girl and doesn't look as though she's got any handicap at all. You just have to tell people that it's very like being a deaf child.
Same way as normal. Go that way. Yeah.
I'd like people to recognise the fact that there is a problem and that there are children around like Adam that can't speak very clearly. Most people in the street look at him as if he's a moron, and they tend to speak to me rather than to him as if he's silly, but he isn't. I mean, he's got normal, average intelligence.
Look, Mum! Stand down near me. Look!
He's very badly coordinated, and the way he holds a pencil, his ability to run, and he's not as it would normally be in a 6-year-old. He falls over a lot, he's quite clumsy. His speech is just unintelligible to most people, apart from myself.
I didn't die, me. The backboard I did.
The next one is actually the little sister of a child we know already.
Speech and language disorders handicap thousands of otherwise normal children. Dr. Tony Martin feels many young lives could be greatly improved if the problem was spotted early enough, even as young as 2.
2 3/4 now. And her mother's obviously very worried about her speech problems. I think probably because, of course, her experience with Ricky. She's come to realise it's quite serious.
I began to worry as soon as I found out my son had a speech problem.
Yeah.
That she might have it.
So you found just a very small vocabulary too,
Yes.
and the words that were coming you couldn't really make out very well.
No.
Was she trying to tell you things, and how was she managing to communicate with you if she hadn't got the words?
She was pointing and going, pointing to things.
What happens if you have difficulty in understanding her?
She has terrible temper tantrums due to frustration, and she has passed out on occasions.
Passed out?
Yes.
It's very difficult for 90% of people, and I have to include professionals in that, to actually believe that there's anything seriously wrong with these children, that it matters that they're not talking.
Blue. And then suddenly she just passes out.
I think what they're trying to do is to reassure themselves that the child is going to talk. They themselves can't face the prospect that there is a child who would have this difficulty. And it's not taken seriously.
What about that one?
Gussie.
An ice
Just let
cream.
Mrs. Cabron do a little bit more.
And can you tell me about that one?
Cake.
A nice cake.
Nice cake.
And what about this one?
Eye.
A hand, and that's a finger.
I think it's first noticed at school when she was in the first year at primary school that she wasn't seemingly understanding things, at which stage they brought in a speech therapist to her. What time are you going horse riding today? What time? What time?
11:50.
Oh, good. This went along for about the first year, and it was decided that really the speech therapist wasn't getting anywhere, and she could not understand why. She had to go to the John Radcliffe in Oxford, where she had a brain scan, and she was then found to have slight brain damage. And we then met up with another doctor there, who in fact had seen this type of child before, and it was only really then that anybody had been able to categorically say to us, Louise is an aphasic child.
Aphasia is rare, just one of the many speech disorders which Aphasic, the Association for All Speech-Impaired Children, exists to help.
American football today.
We were desperate. We wrote to all sorts of people to try and find somebody that had ever seen a child like ours before.
Come on, Dandy.
It's turned out quite nice, really.
Yeah, not too bad.
We wrote all over the country to different organisations and just to get a lifeline, really. And it wasn't really until we found out about aphasic and realised that, you know, they knew about children like Louise. Yeah.
Not knowing what's wrong with their child or not getting the right kind of help places immense pressures on parents and families.
We can visually see her frustration when she speaks to us and she's so excited about something she wants to tell us about, and we look at her blank.
I'll throw the four
That's
away.
the moment that her face drops and I realise that I failed as well. That's one of the feelings that I've always had. Take the 8. Do away with it. She does tend to pick these sort of things, card games, board games, where she knows that she's on a par with you. In fact, in many cases she can do a lot better because she seems to be able to plan along very, very well what's going to happen. And she does like to grab hold of those sort of games to deal with, to show
8, 9, 10.
her ability.
10, 8.
Oh!
Very well done.
Oh, I was nearly out.
That's it, Cabell.
I mean, I think I've always shielded her very much because I think I realise what she must be going through. I mean, her life is like being in a foreign country. It's like everybody gabbling away in a foreign language that you just can't understand.
Please keep your thumbs on top. Okay? So, from M to K, cross the diagonal line. Now keep them trotting on. Remember, all of you, to change the diagonals and to change your width over. Going right out into the bottom corner. Don't get too close, Joanne. Justy, just trot on a little bit. Come on, Louise. Okay. And then hands up. Legs, legs, legs. Ah, Jerry.
We were encouraged to learn sign language, which, I mean, even learning that took us a long time. We had to find a teacher to teach us, and the whole family learnt sign language, or the basics of sign language. And then we started to look around for a school, and that took 2, 3 years before we actually got her to a school that actually specialised in speech handicaps.
Education authorities are legally obliged to provide for special needs like Louise's, but not all do. This residential unit in Ealing for Tony Martin's young patients is actually run by the local health authority.
Oh, Mr. Lewis? Matthew, hi. Coming in.
This is a unit for up to 12 children at a time with nurses, teachers and speech therapists.
This is Claire, our head teacher, and this is Matthew.
The sort of children we take have very severe problems. We wouldn't even consider them here otherwise. Very severe problems in learning to talk, affecting their speech, their language. And we don't like them under the age of 4. I think between 4 and 6 would be about the right time.
Lovely. I'm glad you could make it to see us. We do a range of activities, and one of the things we have to concentrate on is helping develop fine motor skills. So we actually do a lot.
The only provision we know of is one school called Meadowbank in Cardiff, which apparently is full up, and they don't recommend he goes there because of his age. So there's no alternative than this centre.
But equally there's freedom for you to
There isn't anything else.
What are you making? Here, I'll take the rolling pin. Be a good old boy. Right, what are you making?
Well, obviously, I don't want him to go away. But what you to do? You try everyone for help, and you don't get it. And this is the only solution for Matthew. This is the only help he's going to get at the present time. So we have got to give it a try.
If we don't give it a try, and Matthew doesn't get any better then, so we put it that way, we'll always be saying to ourselves, well, he could have come here maybe last year or the year before. And perhaps there won't be room for him to come here again. And we'll always blame ourselves.
So the 3 nursery nurses that are actually on have each got 4 children that they actually look after, care for, get them up in the morning, bath them and put them to bed at night. So they've got one person that they can actually relate to.
So what time do they normally go to bed?
They're all in bed for 7 o'clock. They have a bath and then they have a story and they have supper and then they clean their teeth and they're actually all in bed for 7 and they get up about 7:30 in the morning. So we have a very structured routine. Hi.
I felt he was a little boy with a very severe speech disorder. Very aware of it, really, more aware than the notes would have suggested. And it took a long time to relax and let me into his play and begin to talk. And when I did hear it, he's not got many sounds. He's a lot of nyush and gush, a lot of sh sounds around. Difficult to understand, and once he did try and communicate and failed, he withdrew quite quickly.
He just had that exploring spirit about him, and he just went off and left his parents at various times, which is a pretty good sign.
It was a good sign, wasn't it? He was doing things on his own, and his parents would come in, and he would just look up at them, wouldn't he, and give them a little smile, and then go back. There was no running over and being upset and wanting to be with them. I gained the impression he was quite a mature little boy, actually.
Yes, I am sure he'd fit in very well.
Yes. Well, what do you think?
I think he desperately needs help quickly. He needs very intensive help. And I would say, most of all, he needs a signing system.
You think he would be able to catch on to the signing?
Oh, I'm sure,
and
yes.
Convey...
He uses his eyes well, and he wants to communicate.
Any last thoughts, Hilary?
I think he needs, from a speech point of view, intensive speech therapy, and that means daily speech therapy.
Right. Get down. Sign it. Good boy. What? What's she drinking? Me. Right, do it all then. Dolly. Good boy, right.
It's not a nice thing to have to say to parents, your child's condition is so severe that we really do have to work very intensively to provide the right sort of background, therapy, teaching, communication as a whole, including perhaps the use of signing. And we can only do this on a weekly residential basis. Now, it's done on that basis because those children who come are not able to have enough locally.
Orange. Water, yes. Not in there.
It was very difficult getting the authorities, both the education and the health authorities, to say that there was anything wrong, that he needed special schooling. He had to see doctors, he had to be assessed, and then from there I had to threaten that unless he got a place in a special school, he wouldn't go to school anymore.
In the end, just days before the start of the autumn term, East Sussex Education Authority found Adam a weekly boarding place at John Horniman, a charity-run school in Worthing.
When he first went to the school, I got a bit upset, I suppose, the fact that he was going, because he's so young. But at the same time, obviously, I'm doing it for his benefit. When he went back the first Monday, it was even worse, you know, having him home and then him going. And really, I just wish that he could go daytime. But unfortunately, there aren't any places that can take him during the day.
Good morning. Morning.
He's getting up there and he's generally learning all the time. how to speak properly and how to do things for himself, and they've got ways of teaching him that I couldn't teach him myself. Unfortunately, you know, and they'll teach him all he needs to know about washing his face, cleaning his teeth, and it's important that he's in that environment all the time.
That's right, get your clothes. Are you happy?
Happy.
Oh, that's good.
When he was at the mainstream school, he was bullied. He used to be kicked, and they used to mimic him. And when he was in the classroom, he was just left to his own devices.
Well, Adam came to us from an infant school where he was having difficulty getting his message across because of his severe problems with the actual speech production. He couldn't really make the appropriate emotional and social relationships with the other children. He became very isolated. I suppose he was bullied and teased, and he was gradually becoming more and more frightened of other children.
What is that?
For these children, being in a residential school, being together as a school for 24 hours a day, just is very good for building up their confidence. A lot of them come to us from mainstream classes, probably at the age of 6.5 and 7, and they failed, and they've become very withdrawn, and they've developed strategies, self-defence mechanisms, if you like, for keeping people at bay. Whereas here they know that they are with children like themselves. They do have teachers who really fully understand, do have the right training and the right expertise, and they are with speech therapists as well, and they're all together in that secure environment.
Claire, can you come and put the policeman's boots on for me?
Big black.
Why does the policeman wear big black boots?
Because he had to run fast.
Because he has to run fast.
For Robin.
At some stage, maybe later on in their education, they may be integrated back. But at this stage, for the little ones here, they need to be in that environment on a 24-hour basis.
Is eating the cake.
When Louise first went, I mean, it was a very, very traumatic experience. I mean, we used to have to drive to Moorhouse School, and she would cry continually in the car all the way there. I mean, she'd try and take her clothes off and throw them out of the window, and just to try and stop us taking her. And we used to leave her with the house parents. I mean, it was absolutely awful. We used to sort of get out of the school and get into the car and go and park it down the road and have a good old weep.
What is noise?
I think it's thunder.
No, you must listen. I am going to flood the world.
Who is it?
I am God. I am very...
Before she went to the school, when somebody tried to speak to her, she would go into herself very quickly, and now she is quite prepared to listen to somebody. Although she might not understand them, she's prepared to look at them and face them.
What shall we do?
Anna, go to people's house.
It's this confidence factor that has been given her by being away. She's had to stand up on her own 2 feet, and I think that's stood her in good stead for the future.
What is the
It's a big boat. What are you in a boat for? To sail across a flood.
A flood?
Yes, a flood.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
This is.
I think that she's made progress in the last 2 years merely from the fact that she is now able to participate in a little play like that.
I am a lion, a meat eater. Meat is my favourite food.
I am a pig. I live on the farm. I run in the mud.
They can sometimes live in a plant shop
other people's.
Louise's language level is still at the preschool stage of development. She has not reached the language competence of the normal child of 5 entering school, because that is a relatively sophisticated level of language competence.
I don't want to walk with a cat. I did see a really big puddle. Spurs with my world. Oh no, call lady or the present maid.
She's much more athletic than many of the other children. A lot of the other children tend to be clumsy. She's got a good level of intelligence, an above level of intelligence, and she's very alert and hard-working. In many ways, she presents very well in the school. She is succeeding, particularly, I would say, in the sports field and in the art and craft work that she can do. So she has skills, definite skills, to be exploited in the future. Her future may follow the pattern of another girl from this school, Diane, who in fact left here, went to a training college for the handicapped, learned a skill. She already knew the deaf sign language from her therapy and education here, and she joined a social club for the deaf, and in fact is now married with a house and a very good job in the electronics industry, and is leading, I feel, a relatively normal life, except for the speech and language problem that she has and will always have.
All right, Diane?
Yes.
No problems?
No problems.
Good. I think we were all sort of a bit apprehensive of her capability of doing the job when she first joined us. But in this case, she's proved us very much wrong, because, you know, she is very, very capable. She's very precise, and very, very rarely do I get any rejects back of hers. She's a very careful and neat worker.
You remember, Louise? The colour. Which colour stayed the same? Red. Red. Blue. Blue. What else? One more. Good. Well done, Robert. That's right. They stayed the same.
Mrs. Harrison, will you excuse me just a moment, please? I wonder if I may see Campbell. They very much require a 24-hour treatment, which they could not get at a local language unit. And there's no doubt, I think, that most children here would not make the progress at speech therapy and at teaching that they make if they were not in a residential situation. What is a tremendous worry at the moment is that local education authorities are not sending children when it is, I think, fairly obvious that there is the need to send them. They're inclined to hold on to them for an extra year, an extra 2 years, even an extra 3 years. Then when they eventually come, they have to stay until they're 16 rather than coming and getting back into mainstream education. I think children's prospects are being damaged by keeping them away from this kind of school when it's quite clear that they need it.
Kevin McDade, now 19, is one aphasic child whose prospects have been damaged by not being properly diagnosed when young.
Unfortunately, we had never heard of aphasia when Kevin was young. He went to a state school, you know, a special school for the mentally handicapped. He wasn't coming on very well, partly because being a school for the mentally handicapped, they have to treat them very gently. You know, They can't really push them too hard. And unfortunately, aphasic children like Kevin need to be pushed. Need to be in a classroom environment where they are being stimulated and pushed, and you know, their limits are much greater than people realise.
When did you realise that there was something else wrong?
A friend of mine came across a leaflet about aphasic, about the association, and aphasic children knew Kevin. This was, in some ways, this looks like Kevin. You know, give it to me, so see what you think. I read it and thought, in ways that could be describing Kevin. So I contacted the school and eventually then it evolved from there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel when this new assessment was given to you, that it was in fact a condition called aphasia? What did you feel about that?
It was great to know what it was, to know that it could be treated, even though it was late. There was still hope for some improvement. One problem was that he doesn't like to pay attention. That's all right, Kevin. Yeah. But it's okay now. Yeah.
Friday.
Friday?
Did
you?
Yeah, Friday 8.
Oh, well, you're okay
I hear
now.
Kevin's very good at dates, actually. I've heard
Yes.
this. Is that right?
Kevin?
Yeah,
Yeah, but you won't do it anymore.
No.
No, good lad. Okay, now sit down for a moment. And we'll come to you. That's right, I want you to be a big man and sit down and you can join in the conversation.
Kevin,
Okay.
I want you to tell me about these dates. Can you tell me, when did you go to Bladen House School?
Monday, 3rd of September 1984.
That's very good that you remembered that. What about Alder Worsley School? Do you remember when you went to Alder?
1982.
Thursday, 22nd?
Yeah.
April 1982.
Is he right?
He'll always get it right.
Mm-hmm.
He's not what you would call fully mature now, but he's a lot more mature than he was. He can be quite sensible at times.
There are a number of speech and language units available around the country, and there's a slow increase in number. But there's nowhere enough in the way of facilities for these children.
Apparently, John Horniman's school is the only one of its kind in the south, and children, as a child goes there from Devon, and that's how bad it is. And there are so many children like Adam. Obviously, there's not enough places.
It's very, very patchy. There are parts of the country where there is no provision at all. There is, in fact, no language unit. In other parts of the country, there are good language units. There are very few actual specialist schools like this one.